and of course, the Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe, Dan Orlovsky here as well. We got a lot of NFL news to get into. Hi, guys. Good morning.
I just wanted to say good morning to the fellas and to candidate Molly Karen. I mean, which office are you running for? I'm just interested in knowing. I just want to know. I just want to know.
It's called
You look
fashion.
like a politician this morning.
Take notes. Hey, Stephen A., I'm just wondering.
That message.
Stephen A., I'm wondering, is purple your favorite color? Because I've never seen that suit before.
Yes. I've worn it several times, many times. I know you're joking to indicate that, like Shannon did. You got to get your own line. Shannon used that 2 weeks ago. You know?
But you still keep wearing it.
Right. That's right. It looks good.
Let's go to the NFL. The Steelers landed star receiver DK Metcalf from the Seahawks and locked him in on a 5-year, $150 million deal. This comes after Metcalf requested a trade out of Seattle last week. Here's Adam Schefter this morning on Get Up, taking us through who could potentially be throwing DK the ball in Pittsburgh.
The Pittsburgh Steelers had been talking to Justin Fields to see if they could figure out a way to get a deal done to bring back Justin Fields as their potential starting quarterback this upcoming season. But Justin Fields has slow played the Pittsburgh Steelers because he still needs to hear what the Jets' situation is, what their offer is, which he cannot do until noon today. So the Pittsburgh Steelers are waiting on Justin Fields while they're also talking to Russell Wilson, who could be back now that they've traded for DK Metcalf, and who they're also going to be speaking with, Aaron Rodgers.
All right, paging our resident Steelers fan must be a good day to be one. Stephen A., what quarterback makes the Steelers a Super Bowl contender?
I can't believe I'm going to, well, I wouldn't go as far as a Super Bowl contender. I got to consider that. But I got to tell you, in terms of Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, normally I would say Aaron Rodgers all day, every day compared to those two fellas. It's just that on this particular day, you got DK Metcalf, who's his former teammate. Who does he have the most familiarity with? It would be Russell Wilson. And that's why I would go in that direction. We also have to remember that Russell Wilson wasn't god-awful this year. He had some good moments this year. Obviously, they nosedive a little bit, you know, at the tail end of the season. And obviously, come playoff time, actually, it wasn't the tail end. It was like the last 5 weeks of crying out loud. But I'm looking at Russell Wilson, and I'm imagining DK Metcalf and having a familiar target like that, a stud like that, to throw the football to. I think this goes a long way. I'm certainly not trying to imply that Russell Wilson is better than Aaron Rodgers. I'm just thinking along the lines of the familiarity factor, fellas, and that's why I lean in the direction of Russell Wilson more so than Aaron Rodgers. But you guys know more than me on this one. Go ahead, fellas.
Yeah, so good morning. Number one, no quarterback is going to get them to be legit Super Bowl contenders right now. Offensive line is not good enough. It's the worst running offense in the NFL over the last 6 seasons, the worst. Okay, the one that gets them to the next step after this DK Metcalf trade should be number one, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold should be the number one target for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
What?
And if I was Sam Darnold, the Steelers would be the number one target for me if they keep George Pickens. If you get Pickens and DK with Freiermuth, that is very similar to what Sam Darnold had in Minnesota last year. I don't know if it's right on the same level because JJ is so special, but it's very similar to that trifecta of people that you can throw the football to. If I was Sam, I'd want to go there. If it's not Sam, because a lot of people believe that Sam is going to go to Seattle, then it's Aaron Rodgers. And I say Aaron Rodgers because of this. I go back to the fact that once he got healthy, he played winning football last season at the end of it. Number two, those receivers on the outside, Shannon, you know, as a quarterback, you're going to walk the line of scrimmage, and it is the proverbial pick your poison. You guys want to play coverage and play with deep safeties? Aaron Rodgers has seen it all. He can be the guy that controls the line of scrimmage. They can run the football. It should help that terrible run game that I mentioned. You want to come down to the line of scrimmage and have to commit to stopping our run that hopefully is better. Then it's that one-on-one pass game on the outside. Aaron's very comfortable throwing to receivers that are covered but open. He can throw it to spots with ball placement. If I were the Steelers, it would be Sam Darnold clearly is the number one, and then clearly the number two would be Aaron Rodgers.
I'm going to have to agree with Dan. I'm not so sure any quarterback that was mentioned gives them that opportunity to get to the next level. I tell you what, the quarterback need to have is absence of hearing, because both of those guys are going to be complaining about the football and be moping and pouting and crying when they don't get the footballs. So you're going to have an ability to block all of that out. I agree with everything you said, Dio, is that the fact that their offensive line isn't good enough, and I'm not so sure that Aaron Rodgers played, you said Aaron Rodgers played good. I don't know if it was winning football because there were times that he turned the ball over at the most inopportune times, and that's not winning football, although the stats are okay. When I look at this running game, they don't run the football well. Even that's why Najee Harris is a fifth-year option, wasn't picked up. Now, I do like Jaylen Warren, but I think he's a free agent. And so it's going to be, it remains to be seen if the offensive line can protect any of those guys, because none of the guys other than Justin Fields moves particularly well. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is 41, maybe going to be 42 at the time of the season start. I think he's going to be 41. He doesn't move like he once did. Also, we know Russell Wilson. We saw him take a lot of punishment. Some of that was him. Some of that was the offensive line. Sam Darnold, I think he caused a lot of concerns, Dio, the last 2 games of the season. He put his worst 2 games on tape at the very end. When they needed him the most, he played the worst. And so with that being said, what do you want? Because, Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson's only going to give you, 2 years? 2 years max? It's time to go ahead and start a situation where you're building something for the future. Go get a guy that can sustain, or you believe can sustain, for at least 3 to 5 years, maybe even longer, Dio. They got to stop with these stopgaps, and that's what they've had since Big Ben left, stopgaps.
Shannon, I can't disagree with that. I feel you on that. I'm not refuting it. So let me ask my football guys this question here, okay? Let's say, for example, you're the Pittsburgh Steelers and you tweak your offensive line somewhat where we're not talking about them being awful. We're talking about them being improved. I get the youth part because you want somebody, you want the stopgap moves. Russell Wilson is aging. Aaron Rodgers is already aged, et cetera, okay? So you're going the Sam Darnold route. But I'm looking at it from this standpoint, fellas. How much credence or substance do you give to the drop-off Sam Darnold suffered, particularly in the last 2 to 3 weeks of the season? Shouldn't that matter, Shannon? Shouldn't that matter?
Dio, you want to take that first?
I'll take it, sure. So,
go ahead.
Yes, it matters. It matters. I think the 2 things that you have to pay attention to were, 1, it was his first time in that moment in the NFL, and he failed. And then 2, I would tell you that the offensive line, and I remember being on with you guys the day after the Lions game and that debacle, they were as much a part of that conversation as anybody. And I would tell you the Rams whooped up on it as well. This isn't a situation, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, where this is blank check. Name the number. There's no doubt in our mind. But you don't matter. The Steelers don't contend, Stephen A. They're mediocre right now. And they got these guys on defense like Cam and TJ and Minka. They're on the back end of the career rather than the start of the career. You don't want to waste. Those are 3 potential probable